Unraveling the horrors of history. Adolf Hitler, a name that still sends shivers down the spine, remains one of the most reviled figures in human history. His actions during World War II and the Holocaust are stark reminders of the depths of human depravity. In this comprehensive exploration, we'll delve deep into the life and rise of Adolf Hitler, dissecting the historical context that gave birth to his ideology, the key events that defined his reign, and the devastating consequences of his rule. Brace yourself for an unsettling journey through one of history's darkest chapters. The early years, the making of a dictator. Adolf Hitler was born on April 20th, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, Austria-Hungary, a picturesque town near the border with Germany. His early life showed little sign of the monstrous figure he would become. His father, Alois Hitler, was stern and often violent, while his mother, Clara Hitler, was a gentle and nurturing woman. Hitler's childhood was marked by mediocrity and unfulfilled ambitions, including his dream of becoming a painter. However, fate had other plans. Hitler moved to Vienna in 1907, where he dabbled in art and drifted through life as a vagabond. During this time, he was exposed to virulent anti-Semitic and nationalist ideologies that would later shape his worldview. He moved to Munich in 1913, just before the outbreak of World War I, and enlisted in the German army. The war would prove to be a pivotal turning point in his life. The rise of the Nazi Party, propaganda, rhetoric, and manipulation. After World War I, Germany was in turmoil, grappling with economic hardships and political instability. In this environment, Hitler found his calling as a charismatic speaker and propagandist. He joined the German Workers' Party, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, or the Nazi Party. Hitler's oratory skills and ability to tap into the frustrations of the German people propelled him to prominence within the party. His propaganda machine, led by Joseph Goebbels, was instrumental in spreading Nazi ideology centered on Aryan supremacy, anti-Semitism, and territorial expansion. Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, blueprinted his vision of a greater German empire. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany, marking the beginning of his dictatorial rule. Through political maneuvering and intimidation, he swiftly consolidated power, eventually declaring himself Führer, leader, and Reich Chancellor, effectively making him the dictator of Germany. The Reign of Terror. Policies, persecutions, and war. Hitler wasted no time in implementing his radical agenda. He pursued aggressive expansionist policies, remilitarizing the Rhineland, annexing Austria in the Anschluss, and demanding the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia. The policy of appeasement by Western powers only encouraged him further. In 1939, Hitler's invasion of Poland triggered World War II, a conflict that would engulf the globe. His blitzkrieg tactics and the signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with the Soviet Union allowed him to conquer much of Europe swiftly. The horrors of war included the systematic bombing of cities, the enslavement of millions, and the Holocaust. The Holocaust. Genocide on an unprecedented scale. The Holocaust, one of the most chilling atrocities in human history, unfolded under Hitler's leadership. The Nazi regime orchestrated the genocide of 6 million Jews along with millions of others deemed undesirable, including Romani people, disabled individuals, political dissidents, and LGBTQ+ individuals. Death camps, such as Auschwitz, Sobibor, and Treblinka, were established to murder thousands every day efficiently. Victims endured forced labor, medical experiments, and unimaginable suffering before meeting their gruesome end. Hitler's obsession with racial purity and the Aryan race fueled this heinous campaign, leaving an indelible scar on humanity's conscience. The downfall, Allied forces, and the end of the Reich. As Allied forces closed in on Germany, Hitler's grasp on reality seemed to unravel. He retreated into his underground bunker in Berlin, where he spent his final days as the city crumbled around him. On April 30th, 1945, realizing defeat was imminent, Hitler and his longtime companion, Eva Braun, took their own lives. The war in Europe officially ended shortly after that. The legacy of Adolf Hitler's rule was one of devastation and unparalleled evil. The Nuremberg trials held Nazi leaders accountable for their crimes against humanity, but the scars of World War II would haunt the world for generations to come. The aftermath, lessons learned, and the quest for justice. In the wake of World War II, the world grappled with the horrors of the Holocaust and the scale of destruction wrought by Hitler's ambitions. The United Nations was founded to prevent future conflicts, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights sought to enshrine fundamental freedoms for all. The Night of Broken Glass, Pogroms and Violence, Kristallnacht, or the Night of Broken Glass, was a turning point in escalating anti-Semitic violence. It coordinated attacks on Jewish communities, businesses, and synagogues throughout Germany and Austria. This brutal event was triggered by the assassination of a German official by a young Polish Jew. However, it was exploited by the Nazis as a pretext for unleashing a wave of terror against Jews. Thousands were arrested, and dozens were killed. The name Night of Broken Glass stems from the shattered glass from Jewish-owned businesses and temple windows. This massacre sent a chilling message to the Jewish population. There was no place for them in Nazi Germany. It was a precursor to the Holocaust, a sign of the horrors ahead for European Jews. The international community's muted response to this act of violence also encouraged the Nazis to continue their persecution. Lebensraum and expansionism, conquest and subjugation. Adolf Hitler's foreign policy was driven by the concept of Lebensraum, which aimed to secure living space for the German people. The Nazi regime sought to expand its territory by aggressive means. This expansionism manifested in the occupation and annexation of neighboring countries. Poland became a target in 1939 when Germany invaded, leading to the outbreak of World War II. The invasion resulted in widespread suffering and loss of life. The occupation of Poland marked the beginning of a series of aggressive campaigns, including the invasion of France and the Low Countries. Hitler's vision of a greater German empire came at the expense of the sovereignty and well-being of other nations. The Wannsee Conference, planning the Holocaust. The Wannsee Conference in January 1942 brought together high-ranking Nazi officials to discuss the logistics of the final solution to the Jewish question. Chaired by Reinhard Heydrich, this meeting formalized plans for systematically exterminating European Jews. The conference outlined the construction of extermination camps, gas chambers, and the mass deportation of Jews to these facilities. The chilling efficiency and bureaucratic nature of this meeting demonstrated the Nazi regime's systematic approach to genocide. It was not a spontaneous or isolated event, but a calculated effort to eradicate entire populations. The decisions made at the Wannsee Conference set in motion the Holocaust, resulting in the deaths of approximately 6 million Jews. Hitler's inner circle. Enablers of evil. Adolf Hitler was not alone in orchestrating the horrors of the Nazi regime. He was surrounded by high-ranking officials who played pivotal roles in enforcing Nazi ideology, carrying out atrocities, and suppressing dissent. Figures like Heinrich Himmler, Joseph Goebbels, and Hermann Göring were instrumental in implementing Hitler's vision. As the head of the SS Schutzstaffel, Heinrich Himmler oversaw the concentration and extermination camps. He was central in the Holocaust's execution, coordinating mass murder operations. Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda, was responsible for disseminating Nazi propaganda and manipulating public opinion. Hermann Göring, a prominent military leader, was involved in the planning of the Holocaust and the exploitation of occupied territories. These individuals were not coerced into their roles. They were genuine believers in Nazi ideology. Their actions were integral to the perpetration of the Holocaust and other atrocities. Hitler's last days: a descent into madness. In the closing stages of World War II, as Allied forces advanced on Berlin, Adolf Hitler's behavior became increasingly erratic. His belief in the supremacy of the Aryan race clashed with the reality of impending defeat. Reports suggest that he suffered from numerous health problems, including Parkinson's disease, which may have contributed to his physical and mental deterioration. In his final days in the bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery in Berlin, Hitler issued irrational orders that his subordinates struggled to comprehend. He refused to evacuate the city even as it faced destruction. This period marked a descent into madness and delusion, reflecting the tragic conclusion of his reign.